Hey everyone, today I'm giving you the secrets to a juicy meatloaf, guys. This is scrumptious and y'all, ain't no dry meatloaf over here in Kamira's kitchen. Let's go ahead and get cooking. I am going to start with going over my fresh ingredients. I'm going to be using these 3 peppers. I have a banana pepper and like a sweet red pepper, but just a green bell pepper will work. I'm going to use half of this onion, 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to use a little bunch of parsley. I'm going to take these fresh ingredients and I'm going to blend them up in my food processor. Now you still want a little texture on them, so I would not suggest putting them in the blender, but you can just chop them finely with a kitchen knife. That'd be totally fine. See a little texture there? We want that. Now, in my cast iron skillet, I am going to saute these veggies. There's a lot of moisture in these veggies and they're also very raw. So you want to cook out a little of that moisture. I know we want a juicy meatloaf, but really juiciness comes from fat, not necessarily from water in a dish, okay? So we don't want this to be like too runny. So I cooked mine for about 5 minutes. In my pan, I'm adding some seasoned breadcrumbs, okay? And I'm going to put in some milk. I'm going to swirl this around and just let this hydrate for about 5 minutes so we can just let that be nice and moist. Into my pan, I'm going to be putting 1 pound of beef. Okay, you can use any fatness you like. I use the 85-15 in this recipe, and the secret here is to combine it with some pork. Y'all, some good old Piggly Wiggly will help your meatloaf come out super juicy. Okay. And I'm going to crack in 2 eggs. Put in 1 egg for every pound of meat you are using. And I'm going to hit it with a little of that W sauce. Okay, I'm using about a tablespoon right here. But y'all know that real cooks don't be measuring. Okay, give me a like if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, and a little bit of barbecue sauce. Now, I'm using a little bit of Creole seasoning, just a tiny bit. I'm using this the same way I would use salt, and I'm going to add in just a tiny bit of a salt-free Cajun seasoning and a little bit of mixed herbs, right? I'm also going to hit this up with some pepper and a little bit of kosher salt as well to give it that nice flavor. Now, you don't need to over-season your meatloaf, but this is not too much for 2 whole pounds of meat. Then I'm going to toss in those veggies. I allowed them to cool while I was getting everything else prepped, and we're going to mix everything together. Now, I don't know why I started mixing this with a spoon. Y'all know that a meatloaf can't be mixed with no spoons. You just got to get your hands right up in there, okay, and work that stuff together, right? Now, one thing you don't want to do is over mix your meatloaf, all right, because that's going to make it tough because you're overworking the ground meat. So just kind of fold everything in, and when you sense that it has been folded in perfectly, that's when your meatloaf mixture is done. Okay, you see this mixture, you see all the spices and the herbs that are popping on it. This is what you want from your meatloaf, okay? Now, you do not have to have a meatloaf or a loaf pan to do this recipe. I'm just using a 2-tier sheet pan so that the juices can drip down. I don't like my meatloaf to be sitting in the drippings, but it will still come out very juicy, and I'm just going to form it into the shape that I want. I formed mine into a log that is about 4 inches wide, and just however length that you can get it to be depending on how much meat you want. This is a super flexible recipe, so just go with the flow, guys. And I baked it at 350 for 50 minutes. Okay, we want to make sure that it is cooked all the way through. Now, while that meatloaf is cooking, we're going to work on that glaze, because we know the glaze just makes the meatloaf extra special. And I'm going to put in my ketchup. Now, I know some of y'all are funny like me. You just laugh every time the ketchup bottle goes because it just sounds like a little poop. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Oh, I just have fun in the kitchen, guys. And I put in some barbecue sauce. Now, you can use any barbecue sauce you want. Okay, it doesn't really matter. If you like sweet, go for like a honey barbecue, right? If you like smoky, go for like a hickory. And I'm going to put in a little bit more of that W sauce and some brown sugar. Now, I don't like my glaze to be super sweet, so I'm only using about half a cup here. This shouldn't take it to be sugary, but to balance out that sweetness, I do like to pop in just a little bit of cayenne. I would suggest doing this even if you don't like heat, because I promise you it will not make your glaze super spicy. It just balances out the saltiness and the sweetness and everything. That's what cooking is really about, balancing those flavors. All right, now it's been 50 minutes. As you can see, my meatloaf is super juicy, guys. Nothing dry about this meatloaf. And I'm going to pour on that glaze, honey. Nice, slow, and seductively, baby. But what you want to do is make sure you hit up all parts of that meatloaf. Okay, don't just be pouring it on the top and leaving it. You got to go around, move your spoon. Okay, hit up them corners, them cracks. Okay, hit it up all around. I don't know why some of y'all don't be getting it all up in there. But you got to get it all up in there. Okay, we want that flavor. Now I'm going to put this back in the oven for 10 minutes. Okay, 5 of those minutes I'm going to broil it on low so they can get really sticky and boom. Look at this meatloaf, guys. Look at that little stickiness there, okay? We got a little char on that meatloaf. Guys, got to put a little parsley on it to make it look cute because y'all know we like cute food. Thank you for joining me today. Join me next time. Like this video, guys, and goodbye.